Have you ever clicked a button, signed up for a service, or even made a choice that you swore you weren't going to make, and later thought, why did I do that? You've already met the invisible forces behavioral economists work with every day. And now, those invisible forces are becoming a full-fledged career path, one that blends psychology, data, economics, and digital strategy into a role that's shaping how choices are designed across industries. And that's exactly what a behavioral economics advisor does. Behavioral economics is at work all around you. Amazon's buy now, pay later, Uber's surge pricing signals, and Netflix's continue watching are all real-world examples. They step into the spaces where humans make decisions, like apps, policies, financial tools, health systems, consumer journeys, and ask the most powerful question in modern strategy. What makes people choose this and not that? Once you start thinking in these terms, the whole world starts to look different. You stop seeing products and policies as neutral and step into a high-impact, growing career field. Plus, nudges, defaults, timing cues, friction points, and incentives, you recognize them all. And what's fascinating is that organizations everywhere are realizing they need someone who can make sense of all of that information. Someone who can help design smarter, more human choices. Someone who understands how people actually behave, not just how spreadsheets say they would. Imagine if that someone was you. What might your day-to-day look like? Picture this. You start your morning by diving right into behavioral data. Pore over it and get an understanding of where users get stuck, where they drop off, or where they make irrational decisions. You're not just looking at numbers. You're looking at patterns that reveal human behavior in motion. Maybe you notice that people are more likely to complete a form when the progress bar starts at 30% instead of 0. Or that changing the framing of a savings message from "do you want to save" to "do you want to keep your money" suddenly increases signups. Then, your afternoon might be spent brainstorming alongside product managers, policy leads, UX researchers, and data scientists. You sketch how to redesign a process so it feels easier, more intuitive, and more motivating. You might create A/B tests, propose new default settings, or introduce social proof messaging. You might also simplify the language of a government application so more people actually complete it. Everything you touch becomes more aligned with how humans naturally think, react, and choose. And that's part of why behavioral advisors are so valuable. Behavioral nudges are incredibly cost-effective. Research published by the Association for Psychological Science found that certain behavioral strategies, commonly called nudges, produce nearly $100 in positive outcomes for every $1 spent. That's far outperforming traditional incentives. And the best part? Your work rolls human nature and data into one beautiful ball. That's what sets this career apart. It's not purely analytics, and it's definitely not purely psychology. It's the fusion of both, applied strategically. That's why behavioral economics advisors show up in so many industries: public policy, tech, financial services, healthcare, sustainability initiatives, even retail and entertainment. Any place where decisions are made, a behavioral economics expert can make those decisions smarter. Organizations are building entire teams around it. According to McKinsey, over 400 behavioral insight or nudge units now operate across governments and companies worldwide. But for this role to really come alive, you need to see a few real examples of the impact. Think about a retirement plan that automatically enrolls employees but lets them opt out. Participation skyrockets because the default changes behavior. Or a public health SMS program that increases vaccination rates simply by adding a line that says, "a vaccine has been reserved for you." Or an online checkout page that reduces abandoned carts by breaking the process into fewer steps and removing unnecessary fields. In fact, even small behavioral tweaks can transform large systems. One global study found that behavioral nudges increased tax compliance by 2.7 percentage points among late filers. That's a massive gain when applied across millions of taxpayers. These are the kinds of insights that behavioral economics advisors bring into the room. They translate research on loss aversion, social norms, cognitive load, friction, incentives, and mental shortcuts into choices people actually follow through on. And that power to shape decisions in ways that help people succeed is exactly why this field is growing so quickly. Now, let's talk about how you can break into it. Most advisors come from one of 3 backgrounds: psychology, economics, or data. But you absolutely don't need to have a traditional degree in these to get started. What you need to do is have fluency in how behavioral biases work, curiosity about human behavior, and the ability to think analytically about choices. Many learners start with behavioral science courses, behavioral design boot camps, or behavioral economics certifications. The key is to build a foundation in things like heuristics, decision theory, user behavior, and experimental testing. From there, the next step is practice. The real skill of a behavioral economics advisor is the ability to turn insights into interventions. That means running small experiments, creating choice architectures, mapping decision journeys, and learning how to identify where friction or bias might live in a process. And don't underestimate the value of showcasing your thinking. A portfolio of behavioral audits, redesign proposals, or experiment plans can do more for your career than a long academic resume ever will. And yes, data skills matter. You don't need to be a data scientist, but you do need to be comfortable interpreting patterns. You'll spend time analyzing results from tests and understanding whether an intervention really worked. Even basic analytics experience helps you stand out. Pair that with strong storytelling and the ability to explain why insight matters, and suddenly you're operating like a true advisor instead of just a researcher. As for where this field is heading, this is where things get really exciting. Behavioral economics is no longer operating in a vacuum. It's merging with neuroscience, data science, and artificial intelligence in ways that will define the next decade of decision design. And with that evolution comes a huge responsibility, because behavioral economics is becoming central to AI ethics. Advisors are increasingly asked to ensure that nudges are ethical, transparent, and designed in the user's best interest, not just the organization's. They help teams think critically about consent, bias, persuasion, and the line between influence and manipulation. If you've ever wondered who helps guide these conversations in tech, government, and digital design, it's the behavioral economics experts who understand how even small design choices can have big consequences. So if you're someone who loves figuring out why people do what they do, and you want a career that blends analysis, creativity, psychology, and impact, behavioral economics might just be your sweet spot. The industry is evolving fast, and it needs people who can navigate that complexity with both curiosity and ethics. Because designing smarter choices isn't about manipulating people. It's about helping them get where they want to go with less friction, more clarity, and better outcomes. And if you choose to step into this space, you'll be shaping a more thoughtful, human-centered future. So what are you most excited to start with? Share your thoughts in the comments to connect with other aspiring behavioral economics advisors.